This week I had a few technical gremlins going on my microphone, so I apologize for that. But what did not go wrong, and I don't need to apologize for, was having Nataliya join the panel this week for some really insightful chats around adoption, around use of different models, and around where we still need humans. Because as much as AI is doing so much for us, where do we need to keep humans in the loop, and where are humans really essential in the creative process of getting the best outcomes from our use of AI? Hope you enjoy the show. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time we go live with our show each week.
All right. I think we're past most of our technical gremlins now. Sorry, we're running late to our regular viewers that have been, waiting with bated breath, us going live. It's been one of those kind of mornings. In fact, I forgot to schedule it. So people that would go looking for the schedule didn't see it scheduled. They're just going to go, it's live now. And it's got last week's date on it. That's how well organized I am. This is what a comedy of errors. Richard goes away for 1 week and the wheels fall off. I've just updated it, but I don't know whether it's going to push that live into YouTube, but it's now on 15th. It hasn't. I'm going to have to go manually.
It's changed on my end here. Hopefully it does.
Nataliya, thank you for joining us. This is the AI operator. We're a well-oiled machine here on this live show.
Yeah. Need some automation in place, Dave.
Yeah. I mean,
we can help you with that. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Hit us up.
It's interesting because you're kicking off your YouTube channel. You're doing interviews. You're doing pre-recorded stuff, right?
Well, pre-recorded. Yeah, the interview is recorded.
Yes.
But we do a lot of conversations. We go deep on the subject if it's appropriate. So some of it's not as raw as yours. We do editing, but yes, I do YouTube as well.
Yes, brilliant. So we should welcome our new guest. So welcome.
Thank you.
And good that your lip sync's caught up. So I mentioned technical gremlins as we came online. Your mic and video was out of sync, but it looks like it's caught up.
It's all working just in time.
Just in time. Do you want to just give the players at home a little intro into what you do and as far as AI and operations and what you're... Yeah, that's great.
Sure, no problem, Dave. Thank you for having me, first of all. I know it's a bit last minute, but it's nothing like a last minute podcast. My name is Nataliya. I actually an enterprise change manager during the day. So I support large corporations with their AI transformation and AI adoption. And at night, I'm a really proud founder of LeadMark AI, which helps small and medium businesses adopt AI and embed it into their operations. I'm not your typical tech person. I think I did C#, and TAFE, and did HTML pages when I was 13, but that's probably the extent until I got really deep into AI. My background is mostly working with people and working with teams, but pleasure to be here.
Nice. Glad to have you. Yeah, one of the things that I always say, Nataliya, is if you can work with people and with teams, you can work with agents.
Yes. I agree with that, Matt.
It's almost a benefit to come into it without the technical, I guess the experience, because you come with a new lens rather than you're solving the same problem in the same way. Like if you have this technical approach, like I did IT support for a very long time, and the people that would come in after studying IT support would only see it, okay, well, this is the problem, which means this is the only way to solve the problem. Where if you come with a less of a strict, upbringing or education, you get to see it from different angles, and you get to find more creative ways to solve a problem in probably a better way as well.
I think every angle has benefits, and to me, there's a lot of value in conversations that are cross-functional. So IT, HR, maybe, communications team, change team, and at the same time, maybe even bringing enterprise risk into conversation, because it really gives you a lot of angles and you can explore technology, not just from tech perspective, but also how is it going to work in real life?
Yeah.
What are the real benefits, right, that people will see? And I'm probably your best subject because I got into AI in 2017 and I did it just out of curiosity. And I thought, and I went on maternity leave. That's kind of how I started. I thought, by the time I'm back into the workforce, AI is going to be all over the shop, right? So I have to get upskilled while my baby is growing, because 2018 I'm back, and that's what's going to be on everyone's agenda. Little did I know it will take another 6 years for everyone to catch up. So yeah, I did get an early start, lucky for me. But then I started with creating things for myself. How can I do change management better? So yeah, definitely your best use case in a way, because I had no technical background when I got started.
I mean, C# isn't no technical background. I mean, that's object-oriented programming.
Oh,
that's
yes.
something.
It's something, yes. I remember sitting in TAFE in Sydney and creating the calculator, and it worked, and it's very exciting, but it's nowhere near the depth that you guys have.
I'm fascinated. How did you get into AI at 2017? Because I was like in the tech space, but I didn't get into it until probably just before ChatGPT got in.
100%.
Yeah.
I did. Do you know EDX and MOOCs? They have online courses. So they had the online course with actually Microsoft. They had artificial intelligence program.
Wow.
It was structured, I think it included 10 different modules, and you essentially learn, OCR, like that's just one subject.
Yeah.
Then we learned how models interpret text. And it went as deep as writing Python and understanding supervised, unsupervised, and then also neural networks.
Yeah.
I must admit the capstone project at the end that you have to complete for them to give you a certificate, that was tough. Because you had to literally write Python and try to hook everything up. And the lecturers and tutors in that program, they were all IT background tutors.
Yes.
So to sit for 2 hours of really dry technical talk, yeah, but I did it, and that's kind of how I got into it.
That's awesome. That's probably more technical than me anyway. Like if you have to write Python and do, like I studied cybersecurity and we had to do Python there. And I remember the exam at the end of the semester, it's handwritten. So you still have to consider, okay, what is the syntax, or at least the process of it. But when you're on the computer, you have so many like helpers. No, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's really cool. Yeah.
Well, you don't really need to know code anymore, do you? Although you probably guys will argue, right?
Well, you benefit from it.
We'll get onto that a bit later in the show. But back in 2017, right, it was a lot of the machine learning, it was the pattern recognition, it was all that object and vision detection stuff. It was sort of, I remember in my role at Salesforce, like we were looking at all that kind of stuff, and being able to take photos of a shelf and it would like object match and detect and all that sort of vision machine learning stuff was the big focus of AI back then. The LLMs, I think transformers were just something Google was just experimenting with and might have published one white paper for back then, but it was not on the radar yet.
Yeah, and you probably remember those cats, right? I think it was cats and dogs. That was pretty much the images that they were training on. That's right.
Yep, and I remember some of the early examples where, like give it heaps of cars, and so just give it like heaps of Mercedes. Don't tell it what a Mercedes is, but it would work out from just the way we understand like vision learning works and machine learning works now. But it was all very brand new concepts back then around giving it a big training set and letting it determine what the patterns were, let it work out what it thought defined what that label meant, versus saying look for a badge. You just go, here's 1,000 cars, these ones are all Ferraris, these ones are all Mercedes, etc.
Yeah. But it was exciting to learn all about it. I mean, look how far we've come.
Yeah. Technology is wild. What's going on? Let's talk about some of the things that are going on in the world of AI.
I want to say good morning to Joanna, who's joined us.
Yes, to on the chat. Joanna is with us live from Perth, previous guest on the show. Good to have you with us, Joe. Let's talk what's going on with. Let me get the right one.
Welcome to the AI Update. Let's look at what's happening in the news.
Right. Any news headlines popped up that sort of captured anyone's interest? I mean, last week, Marno, I was watching the replay and as I broke it up, and you mentioned Gemma 4 got dropped last week by Google, and we didn't really discuss that, so I want to just loop back on that one. Have you played with Gemma models at all yet?
No, but I should be doing it because you can run one on your phone as well, which would be fucking awesome.
You can, but they're really small models, and don't expect too much from them.
It's not how small it is, it's how good you use it. But go on, Matt.
Someone running just Gemma on their phone. It was great. Just the idea of the intelligence layer and what exists and what it can and can't do. There was just one really great example. It said, the person set the scene. They're like, hey, I'm camping and I'm freezing and I'm worried that I'm going to die. How do I make fire? And Gemma comes back, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that.
Typical.
That's right. Yeah, I've got to experiment with it, but it's just cool to see more and more open source coming out, especially from the big organizations. It just makes it a more level playing field. For in the news, what did I want to talk about?
On the Gemma thing, I did install it on my Mac Mini. I've got an M1 Mac Mini with only 8 gig of RAM, so I was really limited to like the second biggest model, which is quite small still. And I tried getting to write some web pages, and I was having huge context window issues and couldn't fit enough stuff to actually build a modern React website well. So I was like, okay, Claude, build a bash terminal wrapper to break it all up and really section out in different sections. And eventually it did generate me a web page, which was full of weird line break errors, which was part of my bash scripting issues. But anyway, I got Claude to clean it up, and I was like, yes, I'm going to test this page. It was like from 1995, with like broken CSS, just white page with just everything in line. I was like, yeah, these small models have significant limitations.
But they have use cases. I mean, you can choose what you want to use it for. Even just playing with Claude, changing between Haiku or Sonnet or Opus. It's just not worth using it. I challenge you, but I'm at two minds there because I understand that there's separate models that use for separate use cases. But then in the same breath, listening to Naval, and he talked about his approach is like, well, if I have access to the best model, why would I not use the best model? Always, because you always want to have the best output.
Because best is context specific.
Yeah,
it is. It's that story of, do you drive your Ferrari to go to the shops? Oh man, Drilla's here as well. Welcome.
Nice.
That kind of concept of which model do you use and which tool do you use for which application is super context specific. Like there's a lot of arguments to be made that non-deterministic versus a deterministic workflow. But if you have, let's say, 10 deterministic workflows, you can have that non-deterministic layer that decides which workflow runs at which time. I think that would be perfect for something like Gemma.
Yeah.
That sounds cool, Matt. What you just described is actually giving me ideas. I did a quick quiz on LinkedIn to see which LLM people or which AI solution people are more likely to choose or pick. Because I had this theory that people tend to gravitate more closely to the ones that resembles their thinking. So as an example, if you lean into fast thinking and you're fast acting, you probably might like ChatGPT. But if you're more methodical and think like a writer turns lawyer, you probably like Claude. If you like deep research, you might like Perplexity. If you like general knowledge, you'd go for Gemini. And I did a quick test to see which ones my colleagues would pick. And it was quite interesting that the people do tend to pick the ones that how they think. And the whole thesis was pick the one that complements you, because that's the one that's going to challenge you a little bit. So yeah, like I agree, best AI for the use case, but also maybe a thinking partner, because they can be.
I agree, because like that integration layer, like what I said at the beginning, the idea of managing teams and people is the same as managing agents. It all comes down to communication. And if you can't communicate with a certain party, all of a sudden that thing just becomes massive friction, emotional, and all sorts of weirdness. So yeah, if you can find that perfect integration layer with a model where you describe something and it happens, or there's a question back that like complements your thinking style, 100%. I've said for the longest time that for my knowledge work, the only thing that really works for me is Claude. However, in the last few weeks, I've been using a bunch of different things just as an experiment, and I'm finding GLM, so specifically 5.1, is actually better for me as a thinking partner.
And if you think of different function and organizations, you can almost use different LLMs to mimic how they would operate. That could be an interesting experiment, orchestration of different LLMs to try to, I guess, arrive at balanced outcome.
Yeah.
Matt, there is one for you, Matt.
I literally do it already.
Are you?
In my Pi orchestration setup, I have my oracles, my like orchestrators, and then depending on which speciality that the sub-agents have in the hierarchy, you might be running GPT 5.4 on extra high, and it's just the brutal, hardened engineering security master. And then you've got just the research agents, which are using like Minimax, 2.7 on various search things. And then you'll have the synthesis agents, which are really high reasoning, So yeah, it's absolutely where you should be looking for sure.
Yeah, that sounds so cool. I would really love to see it too.
It's a great teaser for later in the show, because we're going to be digging into harnesses and what a harness is.
That's cool, yeah.
Later in the show, because I think as we talk about things like Gemma and local models, and there's a lot more talk around sovereign AI. There's locally, I think OpenAI is just on a deal with NextDC for having a local data center onshore in Australia. We know AWS Bedrock is doing that kind of stuff as well. But then the next level of that is bringing it inside your own firewall, and for big organizations and enterprises running their own models locally. The whole model is becoming a commodity. It's like plugging in power. You need power from somewhere. You don't actually care which coal fire or gas or solar panel is generating it. You just want electricity out of the socket, because to a certain extent. Don't want to go into all the stuff behind power generation, but then you need power, and you want to plug in your socket and get it. And models are becoming a little bit like that to a certain extent. Yes, there's going to be slight differences in them as we're discussing, but it's that harness wrapper of how they're used and how they're orchestrated, which I think is becoming more and more important. Which Claude have been making big announcements in the news this last few days around their managed agent infrastructure, and now their new Claude schedule. What do they call it? They've got the routines for Claude Code running like Cowork has scheduled tasks. Putting those sort of routines for code stuff automatically running in their cloud layer.
It's just more abstraction of what we've talked about in the past, how, Anthropic is building into Claude things that have existed already, like months and months ago, years ago, but they're productizing it in such a way that allows the general average user that doesn't understand like the inner workings, but they're like, whoa, I can do all these things now. Like, it's really
that's Apple. Like, if you look back 20 years ago, Microsoft were trying to do the smartphone thing. They were doing micro PCs, and they were doing little handheld devices. They were doing all of that stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s. But because the hardware wasn't quite where the vision wanted it to be, it didn't land. It didn't really take off in the consumer world, even though they had some really good products and really great innovations. Then Steve Jobs waited for the hardware to catch up, and then released it with a different coat of paint, a little bit differently, a little bit tidier. And so they weren't the first to market, but they packaged it in a way that was really approachable and enticing, which is kind of like the Apple thing. Ever since Jobs came back with the iMacs and everything, and took off.
Yeah, that's true. I'm a big fan of Anthropic, because I think they really understand adoption, and they really target wider market. Even if we think about not just their technology, but like partner networks that they're currently rolling out, where it's almost like an Amway, or what was the other one model, where they have all these people trying to adopt their technology into the enterprise and into businesses. How smart is that? That's like getting like 1,000 free sales reps, right? Even more. So yeah, that's amazing. I think they're really onto something with adoption and their roadmap on how to make it a reality for so many people.
100%. I'm very curious to see where they go, because they've got managed agents now, but then there's a lot of talk about what Codex is going to become in the next 2 weeks. I mean, since their acquisition of Peter from OpenClaw, what are they building in the background, and how are they going to make Codex to be the, not even a competitor, but maybe an alternative to Claude Code or the Claude desktop app?
Yeah. Because
we need competitors though, right? Like, we can't just all rely on single point of failure is real.
For my own sort of setup and my own workflows, I'm running so many competitor examples. So I've actually got both the OpenAI and the Anthropic subscriptions at the moment, pumping through each of their own harnesses just for my own experiments. But I'm also running like the OpenClaws and the Hermes agents, another example of a competing product where those guys are actually quite antagonistic. Like if you look at the discussion points between those two companies, sometimes they comment on other people on each other's stuff.
Oh yeah,
it's really, really interesting. Like, yeah, I don't know who I respect more or like trust more or find more compatible to my way of thinking.
yeah.
But yeah, it's very interesting watching all these things. So Marno, I really, really am curious to see what comes out of that Codex team, because
I'm so keen.
yeah, my experiments with the GPT models in the last week has been very, very rewarding. But right now, as it stands, it's the reason why I have both subscriptions right now. You can't exist exclusively. You have to be both right now. So unless they can have some sort of extra change, like the upcoming model, which has been dubbed Spud, if you've seen that. This is from OpenAI, which is supposedly 5.5 or something. Spud is apparently miles ahead, the same jump that happened from 5.3 to 5.4. So if 5.5, if Spud is much more of a compatible thinking partner, like what I've described as what I get from Claude, then I might have to say goodbye to Anthropic and go all in.
Yeah. I mean, again, this comes back to the harnesses and harness wars. Wars probably a loaded term at the moment. But just talking about that later on, because there is going to be this continuous competition between, like you're saying, the Codex app that the app experience they're going to drop versus what Anthropic's doing, and they're kind of the two main players. Google released anti-gravity. It had some really cool stuff in it. And you look at what Claude's announcing, they're catching up really quickly, while Google just seems to be spinning their wheels and not doing much of anything with their anti-gravity platform, which was great. Like, it was actually leapfrogged a lot of features when they released it back in December, but then they just kind of sat on it. And I don't know what is happening over in Google Labs.
Do you truly reckon that they're not doing anything and spinning their wheels, or they're just
they're not pushing releases. Like, all the little releases are tiny little feature things, tiny little bug fixes and stuff. No actual real stuff. Like, they're saying, oh yeah, we're working on sub agents, but they've been working on nearly 6 months now, and still nothing. Like versus, and this is just for comparison. This isn't. I know you say I'm too fanboyish sometimes, Matt, but and I haven't even tested most of these features. I don't know if they're any good, and I'm as critical as anything. But if I look at what Anthropic released since our last podcast, so this is just on their X channel from last week. So last week we did a show on April 8th. And since then they've dropped, Claude managed agents, everything you need to build and deploy agents at scale. So this is their new cloud orchestration agent building thing. Then you come up and they're saying, well, now we've got co-work available for everyone. That's great. They're saying we're now going to we've got this new advisor strategy on the Claude platform. We've got it in Word now. And then today they were saying we've just released a brand new version of the, why isn't this showing the latest things from there? Because they just released today that there's a new one saying that they're bringing out a new version of the desktop app. They're re-releasing Claude Code in the desktop app, and they've completely changed the whole UI of the Claude desktop app. So they are releasing like there is no tomorrow as far as features. Maybe trying to get ahead of the Codex thing that they think is going to happen. But it's...
Yeah, and that's what I mean, Dave. I think they're all over like marketing and engaging the user. That's how I think it must be baked into the strategy, because building in public is the quickest way to get usage. And sounds like Google is just kind of building behind the scenes. They might be building something amazing, but they're kind of losing users, aren't they? Like there is a real risk that people will just disconnect.
I've been on a $20 Google subscription for a couple of years now, and
how's it going?
Well, I don't use it. There's nothing that I use from it except for unlimited Google Meet time, for those meetings where you go over an hour. But yeah, I don't use Gemini at the moment for anything. Like I did for the longest time, and I was pumping the CLI. I used anti-gravity for a bit, but yeah, they currently are behind. So. Yeah.
I was all in on anti-gravity. That was my first foray into sort of the IDE world of using the code-based sort of editors. getting off the web chats like ChatGPT. I kind of went from chatgpt.com to anti-gravity. And one of the big revelations that I wrote about it on my Substack was this whole, now I'm vendor agnostic. You know, if Gemini goes rogue on me and messes all their model pricing up or their model tanks and goes terrible, all my files and their markdown files on my desktop, I'm not tied into Gemini's ecosystem like I am if I'm living in a cloud web environment, which came true because they completely throttled all of their Gemini limits on their plan without going from the $30 plan to the $400 plan. I was like, I'm not doing that. And so I moved over to Claude Code and haven't looked back because all my files, all my folder structures, everything, all my agent definitions, I got Claude to rewrite them and adapt them to fit the Claude harness. But I was up and running in minutes, not days, weeks, and hours. Like, it was just so easy to transition. And, you know, if Claude tanks and Codex is the right thing for me, I can just sort of point Codex at the same folders and be up and running. And to the point that some of my code projects, I've done that. And I've had them bouncing back and forth between Codex and anti-gravity or Codex and Claude because it's all on my hard drive. It's all my own local files.
I think you identified a really important point there. Is the, like, how do you pivot? How do you pivot and how do you remain disconnected and not all in on one particular ecosystem or shape of reality?
Yeah.
I was just thinking, Matt, that it's probably going to take someone to come up with some sort of service offering of how you move context between the models in the future. It just needs one, just like what do they call it? Remixing it or making it, ingestible.
Essentially, yeah, it depends on like the understanding layer, like how much you want to know about what exists and what you don't. It's like I mentioned before, OpenClaw and Hermes. Hermes, when you install it, they literally have are you migrating from OpenClaw? You know, click here and we'll bring your stuff across.
So they're already doing it. It's happening already.
Which Anthropic have as well. They're like, bring in your memories from ChatGPT. Click on this button, and we'll give you the prompt and things to do. So they are trying to make that transference between providers quicker and easy to move into their own ecosystem. But I mean, things like OpenClaw, you'd say that's outside of an ecosystem. But Hermes is clearly going, well, we want that market anyway. Claude is moving into that market with things they're doing with their new sort of scheduled tasks and routines and Claude in the cloud. I'm doing a lot of that OpenClaw stuff just using CodeWork, using scheduled tasks. Like, I shared on LinkedIn a flowchart of my insanely complex workflows that happen every day in CodeWork with multi-agents, research agents, and content writing agents, and calendar checking agents, and everything. It's all just happening, and they're all passing back and forth, running on different sequences and workflows. I didn't need to go and set up OpenClaw because I use Claude, but then that means if I want to stop paying for CodeWork, then I need to go and rebuild that in another infrastructure. But all the definitions and the rules are built in Markdown files that I can do that with.
To Nataliya's point before, that's part of their product design. They want you to stick. They want to get their hooks in you. And clearly they are building a good product. It comes down to what people want really, and what kind of use they're actually getting out of it.
Well, let's I can't think of any other major news that's popped out. Claude has been running the headlines. Most of the news. Mythos, I think, is coming out now in sort of more public release. We touched on that.
Did you cover Meta new AI model? I've heard something, but I haven't really had a chance to dig in.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Muse is actually really good. So like the idea of a lab that just vanished off the face of existence and then randomly came back with another state of the art is interesting. So yeah, I think Meta and XAI are both kind of dark horses. They're not fully pumping out the marketing or the product level marketing as much as Anthropic, but Muse is actually a literal contender again, where the meta models in the past were kind of rubbish.
There's also the new one from Microsoft. Not really a new model, but the capability of turning anything into a 3D render. So you would take a photo of it, and then it's probably the best one, and it's also open source for you to get a complete render of, like, you can take a photo of like a little Claude box or a case, and then you can sell that as a 3D print model, or you can put it into a game model. and it does it incredibly well.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
He goes product copyright on all physical things.
Actually, though, it's we're moving into a new world.
You used to need to do logistics with like, people in China and be on calls at night. No longer that, right?
Not
Just
anymore.
take a photo.
Right.
Cheers, Microsoft.
Getting closer to the Star Trek replicator future, right? Where you just sort of thought like the 3D printing and the just-in-time manufacturing
Hey,
where...
Can you take a photo of your dream house? Marno, is it?
That'd be cool. There's a guy, less AI related, but he does building using a 3D printer, but it does cement. So it just disperses cement. And then he did a 3D print of Shrek, but it's Shrek consuming the cement by drinking it, and then he's pooping it out, and it's this perfect brick layer at the end, and it's just Shrek pooping or building a house at the same time. It's great. Just the internet being the internet.
Amazing.
That's terrible. That sounds like someone had a win of the week. I don't think it was any of us figuring that story. But let's talk about how we've gone this week.
Wins of the week.
Sorry?
Wins of the week.
The week.
Can we talk about harnesses now?
In my video introduction.
Well, I mean, I can knock the dominoes. I can start off. I had my third meeting with that IT company that I was meeting up with.
Awesome.
And yeah, the guys are very keen and we're going ahead. So this is going to turn into a long-term engagement, a relationship building, and they want to slowly start integrating and replace some of their existing tools with stuff that I build for them. So it's a lot of pressure and it's kind of spooky, but I feel like the first few phases that we've got lined up look really good. And yeah, so that's definitely a win, but it's also more straw on the camel's back as far as stress and general work pressure. So exciting, but I don't know how I'm going to manage it. I need more agents.
I'm so excited for you, man. Congratulations. That's a massive win.
It is.
Congrats, Matt. I was looking for the thing, the confetti or something, Dave, but I don't know if we have this on air.
No confetti for that. We had it at the intro. That was the week.
No, bro, I'm so happy for you. So is it because you got 2 long-term clients now, right? Or 3?
My roster now is, I think, at about 6.
Wow. Okay. And then how are you structuring that throughout the week?
I delegate everything to my agents.
Right.
I literally have protocols in place where I start the day and I'm briefed on, what I can and can't think about, and what needs to happen today. And then I have my various other protocols throughout the day, course correction and just checking where things are at, like why haven't you done this yet? Yeah. So I basically have my own self optimizing loop that I've built to give myself back pressure, not just my agents.
Okay, good.
Thanks, guys.
And are you gonna try and leverage some of the community members, like get Blake involved, anything like that, or do you reckon you'll be able to?
Do you mean like hiring?
Yeah, hiring or subcontracting. Just thinking about, like, if I get a big job, you're the first one I want to call. Like, hey, Matt, help me do this. But who do you call? Because you don't have another Matt. So who can you lean on to help you leverage this, especially as you're scaling? I'm just thinking like long-term sustainability. If you already have 6, you already have tinkering that you want to be doing. How are you going to try and leverage that resources that you have to make it easier?
These are the questions that I'm discussing with my agents
good.
every day. Because I literally keep having this moment with them, and with my team, with my orchestration team in general, and I go, do we need to hire more humans? Is that a thing that it needs to exist, and why? What can we actually orchestrate? Yeah. And Mandula, I was thinking exactly the same thing. I just didn't want to say it. So the idea of, what actually needs to happen. To your question, Marno, like if you were free and, you were ready to go for something, what I would ask you to do can I not build a system that does that? And then what layers can I continue to retain with everything else that I don't need to touch delegated? So yeah, that in of itself, if you think of this from like a meta perspective, if I'm building my own agentic business orchestration layer, that's what other people will want as well.
The problem and the shortcoming there, Matt, is then all the final decisions, all the thinking, all that actually lives with you, not with the agents. At the end of the day, it's all going to stack up on you, and you're responsible for all of the moving parts. Whereas if you've got a second human that actually thinks like a human, has broader context than just your agents, then they can have agency, like you can enable them and empower them to run those teams of agents, but it actually takes some of the mental burden off you. Whereas if you are spinning all the plates for all the different things, there comes a point where you need to review the work of the robots. You need to double check that. You need to re-engage. You need to re-steer them. And there comes a limit where you can't do all that. Well,
if that's all my day is, then it potentially can be well.
It's not, you know, it's more than that.
I think it comes down to what we spoke about last week. Like, what do you enjoy doing? If that's your bread and butter, you love this, you're frothing on it, go for it. Send it. But if it's not, then try and outsource the things that you don't like doing. But you make it very valid. You have to train a person.
And the idea of orchestrating, or that's not the right word, the idea with collaborating with another human is hilarious, because like Dave, you said, hire a human that thinks like a human. I don't think like a human. I'm a freaking machine. Like
100%.
Like yeah, it's a weird thing. So like my like personal financial goals is to pull my partner out of full-time work as soon as possible. You know, so I'm the, I don't know, sole breadwinner, whatever you want to call it. But you know, in that is an opportunity to hire her as a potential admin layer, something that can help.
I would advise against it.
That's exactly where I'm going with this, and yeah, it wouldn't work because
nothing against your partner, but working with partners, geez.
Holy crap!
Yeah, exactly. And that's at 12. And even like, you know, like I love you guys, and you know, I don't think I'd be able to work with you guys long term, like on a thing, because it just doesn't, like, my brain's so strange with that. So
we work differently.
Yeah, it would be more the case of, like you said, subcontracting. It'd be like, can you just handle that? And like, we don't communicate.
Matt, so I second Dave's point. I think there's two valid points here for you to consider, and this is not an advice, not unsolicited advice, but just something to think about. I think there is a reason why there was a jury of 12 on any court case, because diversity of thinking over long term is better. That's why they say, if you want to go fast, do it alone. If you want to go far, you have to have a team, because there is diversity of thinking. And yes, maybe you're not thinking like a human, but human thinking is still valuable. We don't necessarily know exactly why, but there is something about it, right? And I don't know if anyone's really got the recipe of what it is that humanity brings. Definitely brings something to equation. I think the second point is that, back to what Marno said, if you enjoyed, go ahead and knock yourself out. But then also we have to remember about balancing life and work.
Nah.
And I know this is a hard one. I know it's a hard one. I know. But we need to take care of ourselves as well. So
this is what I'm hearing. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying I need to build a jury of 12 diverse agentic systems that allows me to have that.
And within that, think about balancing that with the humans as well. Because if it's truly diverse, it doesn't just have agents.
As you know, Matt, the agents are going to inherit any of your biases and things that you put in there, which maybe you want, and maybe that's great. And maybe you should just do that full send and never see daylight ever again. But I mean, Sean's saying you should build a system that, you know, get the agents to teach you human.
More work. The whole, like, the intent that I'm trying to come from, Matt, is purely as a friend that, like, hey, maybe you get blessed. Like, I found someone that could do websites for me, and they do a better job than I would ever do, and they're half the price. I still get money. Awesome. But I've had to find out, what do I enjoy doing, what do I not enjoy doing, and the extent of, like, just purely care, making sure that you are enjoying your time on this earth and spending it the way that you want to spend it. But I mean, massive congratulations that you got another customer. Like you're getting good problems, which is fucking awesome. So congrats. Yeah.
Language.
Oh. It's a pop talk, isn't it?
The lunch slot.
The kids are at school.
I'm in
Yeah,
Kalgoorlie.
not
Sorry,
Kalgoorlie.
this is the vocab in Kalgoorlie.
The tradies.
All right, enough of me. Next.
Yeah, I turned 30. I am now in the next decade, and the morning we started with me turning 30, I went for a walk, and my left hip was so sore. I'm like, what a great start, because I already have hip bursitis, but I just woke up and it was so painful. I was like, I'm literally limping as I'm walking. But
wait till you hit your 40s, mate.
Come again?
Wait till you hit your 40s.
Nah, I've got peptides by then, and I've got a lot more money to do some IV drips, and then I'll be sorted. I already have the protocol in place. I just need the funding. But yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited to start the next level 30.
Yeah.
And yeah, stepping into a more mature approach to business, in that I've spent the past 2.5 weeks really structuring it to launch adaptive AI, like stepping away from the previous business model and niching more into exactly who do I serve, and taking the approach of being a lot more involved in the community. So rather try to build something and spending all this time trying to optimize my environment, like I need to pay the bills. And I have the same goal as Matt of I just need to retire my wife as soon as possible. So really just hit the ground running and take the opportunities that are coming up, but being very smart and having a filter of, okay, I'm not just going to accept any job, but who in my life am I going to invest the next 10 years in? Like who, I've got 10 people that I can choose from, and who am I investing 10 years into that I want to help them grow and see them grow. So taking that approach has been really beneficial, even in the past week and a half of just making that decision, where as I'm meeting people and just being curious about how I can contribute to their life, has returned tenfold, which is awesome.
That's so good.
Yeah, and you've got a new business name, Adaptive AI. I haven't caught up on that. Like, you're not really AI anymore.
Yeah, Adaptive AI solutions now. So pivoting more into the education space and facilitating the environment for people to learn how to fish instead of fishing. We're giving them the fish. Mm-hmm. And I've got a couple of clients. I've got one in 2 hours that I'll be sitting with, just learning about the business and helping them understand how they can leverage AI, because I'm the bottleneck. I can't solve everyone's problems, but if I can teach everyone about it, they can solve their own problems, which is awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
That's so cool. I love the philosophy between, like, behind the name, like adaptive as well. You know, like it's so good. It's like future pacing.
Yeah, it took me a bloody long time to find it. I wanted to get adaptive AI, and then I wanted to get simpler AI, but any AI domain is like 70 grand to 190 grand for one domain for the year, which is atrocious.
There's some little island in the Pacific somewhere, I can't remember where it is, that owns, like, that's their country domain, like .au, like .ai, I can't remember the name of the country. That is like, it's like 10x their GDP, people buying .ai domain names. It's crazy.
So hang on, elephant in the room. Natalia, did you spend 9 grand on your domain?
No. And I don't know how it happened. Maybe I just got lucky.
Yeah.
It was $270 per year.
Yeah. It was the same with Kalgoorlie AI. I bought it, 2 years ago now? And it was like $100. But now if you go back into it, any AI domain is atrociously expensive.
Call me old fashioned, I still chase a good .com. Which is hard to do as well, because every 2-word combination on the planet is pretty much been bought out and someone's sort of.
And then you also have to buy .au to make
I was amazed when I was trying to find the name for my FX trader journaling analytics platform, that I got chartreporter.com. I was like, what? How did I get those 2 words? That was a coup.
You might make more money off of selling the domain. Like, give it a year.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just do an agent to search for those empty ones and keep buying them. That's the perfect case for OpenClaw, right?
Yeah.
And resell them.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Natalia? Any wins of the week for you?
Yes, well, I have been, funny enough, we've been talking about mixture of things here. Adaptive and training teams is probably my priority number 1 in my day job anyway. So enterprise rollouts of AI across 500 plus people is something that occupies my daytime. And of course, there's a lot of questions that are unanswered not just an enterprise, but also small business level. And they mostly across adoption, governance, security. So I've started the YouTube channel as a dare following Africa AI. So I went to Cape Town, met Liam,
Oh wow.
and they had the jokes on the podium. So three speakers joked about the same thing, that if they do a podcast on change management, despite of how important it is, no one would listen to it. And I thought, well, I have no YouTube channel. I have nothing to lose, literally. I've been doing change management for 20 years. I might as well start it.
That's right.
So I've started it. But then beginner's luck. Like I'm literally have conversations with, New York bestseller last week. I've got now one lined up, New York #1 advisor to big firms. And I'm treating it as a beginner's luck, because I don't know why, but it's happening, and it's really enjoyable. So yeah, that's probably my biggest win, is just being on the roll with creating YouTube content that I actually apply myself. So that's my biggest one.
I love that for you. Well, there's a good guy called Dan Coe, and I love his philosophy on life, and it's you are the niche. So you've already done the work. Why not capitalize on that? Like, you are the niche. Just talk about what you enjoy. And I think you're selling probably a very specific pain point.
Thank you. Brought it up.
Hey.
So yeah, the AI Ready Teams is the one with Charlene Lee. So she's the New York bestseller. I've got another one that I've just confirmed today. I'm not going to disclose the name, but he's huge in New York as well, in America. So that's the next one coming up. But yeah, it's just a matter of where do I get the time to do all of them, and it's really exciting.
Well, thank you for giving us some of your time today. But that's great. If you want to see more about those interviews, make sure you follow at a.i.fitness on YouTube. Nataliya and her podcast there. We'll put a link in the description after the show as well.
Thanks, Dave.
But brilliant. Yeah, I mean, it's great. More people out there talking about these sort of things. Change management's critical. I was talking to an organization, and it's sort of a good news, bad news story for me as far as one of the week. And then I kind of won the job, but then they deferred their budget to the new financial year, so I didn't actually get the job. But these things happen. That's why you have a pipeline, right? But just talking to them and talking to other organizations that have been working with change management, it's such a critical part of any of this AI stuff. Otherwise, they agent here, an agent there, or they do this and they do that. But then they don't get the adoption, or they get people adopting it, but they're not really getting any benefits from it because they don't understand how they're meant to be using it, why it's got benefits, etc. So being able to translate any of these sort of AI transformation programs into the change management piece is a critical part of success, right?
Yeah. And that's what I've kind of been weighing as well, because I love AI solutions and I build AI solutions and it's super exciting. But at the same time, I know change management is a critical gap. So I'm kind of in a phase where I kind of do both, but then should I just focus? I don't know. That's probably one question I need to answer in the coming months.
So much fun. Well, I feel like to answer that one, or to give some insight, I was talking to, I think, Matt about that. Of like, I need to niche down. I need to find out, like, what do I enjoy doing? And it's like, well, his argument is, well, we're living in this space now where you can leverage your time and amplify what you can achieve on such a level. Is there really a need to niche down? Like, you might just become a generalist, but because you can leverage AI, you can achieve so much more. You don't need to spend 80 years on one topic. You can spend 2 years because AI can help you amplify that, which messed up my entire approach to life. I'm like, no, I have to niche down. And then Matt's like, do you though? Yeah.
I had a really cool reflection moment this morning with one of my knowledge agents dealing with my core and philosophy, and it said, hang on a second, I just need to pull something out and be blunt here. You're asking for a way to label yourself, in a vision sense, in a goal sense. But what you've not realized is you've done the things that person would do already. So like you've done it backwards, essentially. And so with that kind of thing, Nataliya, I reckon the coolest thing that you say that you got beginner's luck, it's more, I think personally, similar to what Marno just said. I think it's because you're aligned, like you feel like you're moving in the right direction. And there's goal-based, direction choosing, and then there's constraint-based direction choosing. So if you want to get to a point, you can say that's the point I'm getting to, but there's no like specific route to get there. You're going everywhere, and it probably will take a little bit of time, go a few wrong directions, and then you'll get there eventually. But then the constraint-based one is like narrowing that path choice, but still allowing some deviation. I like the idea of moving towards where you want to go, but not like completely constraining you and saying, this is my niche. You know, like you can do that through marketing, but for your own personal alignment, like you need a little bit of experimentation and the ability to wander.
Yeah. And I think, Matt, you mirror what usually successful people say, is that their biggest win come from like edge cases and like what they don't expect to bring a lot of result. They just go on this wild chase one day and just do something off the side, and then boom, that's like their biggest client or something.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting you saying that. Like, I'm kind of just, as you said, going with some things and going, yeah, that's killing my time, but who knows? You never know.
Yeah, you just gotta keep moving.
As long as you're moving forward.
Yeah. 100%. Like that client I mentioned before that, you know, I've just gone through 3 meetings and finally like winning them. I met the person years ago. I used to deliver coffee. I worked at a coffee roastery for a specialty coffee roaster. And I used to jump in the van with buckets full of coffee beans and drop them off to places. And this company was one of the places. I'd drop them off a couple of kilos a week. And I'd see the guy and I'd message him and be like, do you need any coffee this week? And then I bumped into him on a charity walk a couple of weeks ago. And I went on this big 25K walk for men's mental health. And I bumped into this guy and he called me some other name. I can't remember what he said. And I'm like, nah, that's not me. And I just kind of kept walking. And then I bumped into him again. And he's like, it's Matt, isn't it? I'm like, yeah.
Serendipity.
Yeah, he goes, you used to drop off coffee. I'm like, oh, hello.
Does he then introduce you to go, oh, this is used to be a coffee guy. He does now AI solutions now.
Yeah, literally. So
pretty much,
we had this really good chat. And, you know, the weird line of events for me to bump into him twice on that walk. And then, you know, the previous rapport I had from, you know, that previous job, you know, all of these things lined up and none of those things could have been predetermined. No. So, yeah.
Well, when you meet them face to face, you know what you must do.
What's up?
Bring them
Good
coffee.
Oh, wow.
No?
Good man. Good, yeah.
Have coffee beans with your Slay tech systems or something. I don't know.
That would be actually kind of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can take the man out of the coffee roastery, but you can't take the coffee.
That's not whiskey, is it? What are you drinking?
Well, it kind of looks like it. No, I just do cold brew at home because it's lazy and it's leveraging time.
Good man.
Cold brew is good because it takes the bitterness out. I don't mind a cold brew on occasion, and it does taste whiskey, so it does have that smoky sort of feel to it.
You know, there's coffee that's been roasted or like rested in like whiskey barrels. They're in Melbourne, and it tastes like from a whiskey. I have to find the name, and I'll send it.
Good.
I'll send it to you guys in the WhatsApp chat. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I've been doing cold brew for a long time, but when I was big into keto a while back, I was doing the cold brew. Now I'm like, I'll do keto, but I'll still, you know, put my milk lab almond in because it's low carb enough.
Caffeine.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, we have run out of time to actually do our deep dive on harnesses. I'm like we were so busy talking about.
I feel like that was intentional. I was so
that's my fault. I'm sorry. You invite the change manager online.
No, we were busy counseling Matt on hiring teams.
I appreciate that too. Thank you, guys.
I did pull up an image though that I wanted to show around harnesses, so we can maybe dive into this more next week, boys. But
tune in next time.
Yeah, tune in next time as we discuss dog harnesses. So if you think about harnessing, like you think about animals and harnessing animals and how different styles of harnessing give you different impacts, and sometimes they're good in different situations. So people say there's no right or wrong way to, you know, hitch up your dogs with their harnesses, but depending on the environment, so the fan hitches can be good on icier, flatter, more open terrain, but if you're going through woods and forests, you don't want your dogs all out in a fan, you want them in a straight line, and so they'll pull differently, right? Not that I've ever been dog sledding in my entire life, but this is what I read online. And so your AI, the way you harness it is going to have different impacts and different, depending on what you're trying to achieve with it, right?
I just want to take a moment to express my sincerest gratitude and admiration of the weird analogy making.
100%. That's a great one, but I was not expecting that at all.
I love it too. I love it too, Dave. That was a good one.
I was thinking harnessing, and you harness animals, and I was thinking a bit about dogs, and I was like, oh, yeah, I remember hearing there's different ways. There's that fan style, and they call it hitching, but you harness the dogs and then you hitch them up in a certain order.
Is this going to be your Ralph loop methodology? You're going to somehow turn this into a methodology or framework that you can teach AIs.
He'll have a keyword. He'll have a slash command at the beginning, and it's just mush.
Yes, that's great.
Yeah, no, I think it's just, I've been thinking about this whole harness thing, and I've been having conversations with people on LinkedIn, and people saying, oh, how do you manage the memory? Have you found with Claude Code or this or that? It's different. I'm like, you can manage a lot of that just through your agent command. And that's a file system thing. It doesn't have to be in the harness. You can extract some of that stuff out of the harness. And Matt, you've built your own harness. I'm living in Claude Code / Codex. I've used Open Code. I've used all these different things. I've tried ZenFlow, which was all right, but I've noticed it put massive amounts of extra system prompt stuff at the top. So it was actually jamming up my context with extra things, which they're all doing to a certain extent. But yeah, I've just been thinking about the harnessing a lot. And I put this out on LinkedIn as well. You know, not animals, but talking about engines and sort of saying you can have your different same engine, different sort of setup where you're putting in like factory machinery or a hypercar or a go-kart. Opus 4.6, it might be the same engine, but depending on how you harness it and decide to utilize it, you're going to get very different results. And people are sort of quick to sort of blame everything on the model, but no one's actually really talking about the harnesses yet.
Yeah.
And when you do talk about harness next week, please think about which people in which teams would represent those harnesses as well, because I think that's an interesting spin. Because we talk about systems a lot, but in reality, if in organization, no one's kind of mimicking these harnesses and responsibility and accountability, none of those guardrails really, they're still valid, but they're not as important.
Another topic for next week.
Yeah. All right, we're at time. We're at 1 o'clock. I want to thank you, Nataliya, for joining us. I know you're a bit of a last-minute audible, but I realized Richard's away in Indonesia surfing for this week and next week. So I was like, you know what? I would like to get some new fresh blood on. I'd seen your stuff on LinkedIn that you're posting your interviews. I was like, oh, she's building her YouTube media side. I'll see whether she wants to join.
Come on, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. That was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Marno. Thank you to all our people that joined on the chat, to Manjula, to Kalu, to Sean, to Joe. I think that's everyone this week who jumped in on the comments in the chat. So thank you, everyone. Great to have you live. Check out the YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the little bell icons to get notifications when we go live. And we are now starting to break up these sections like the news and the wins, etc., as separate things through the week. So if you don't want to watch the full hour in one hit, if it's too much, you can grab our shorter sections that we're clipping up. So and share those around with your network. So thank you for that. We'll see you all next week. Thank you all. Goodbye.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.